born to do it.
There's nothing better than love.
Could there be more to Gregory Hines' story than we ever knew? Decades after his passing, the Hines family is breaking their silence on the private battles he kept hidden. From his rise in Harlem to becoming a tap legend, Gregory seemed unstoppable. But his final days held secrets few were aware of. What drove him, and why did he keep his health struggles so private? Finally, the truth is coming to light, revealing the untold story behind his remarkable life and quiet struggles.
Even though the decision wasn't mine to become a dancer, ultimately I made the decision to stay with it.
Gregory Hines was born on Valentine's Day in 1946, right in the heart of New York City. He grew up in the Sugar Hill neighborhood of Harlem with his folks, Alma and Maurice Hines, who was a dancer, musician, and actor. Talk about talent in the family.
I began dancing at 3. My parents gave my brother and I dance lessons like parents give their children piano or violin, just something I think to round us out.
He kicked off his tap dancing journey at just 2 years old and was already semi-professional by the time he hit 5. Gregory and his older brother Maurice teamed up to perform together, training under choreographer Henry Latang. These bros weren't just any dancers, they learned from the legends. They soaked up knowledge from tap icons like Howard Sims and the Nicholas brothers while hitting the same stages. As the Hines Kids, they wowed crowds in Miami, even sharing the stage with Cab Calloway. They eventually rebranded as the Hines Brothers, and when their dad jumped in as the drummer, they switched things up again, becoming Hines, and Dad in 1963. How cool is that?
We enjoyed doing, and tap dancing in those days was still a very credible art form, and so they pursued it for us.
Gregory and his brother Maurice had a bond that ran deep, both as siblings and as partners in crime on stage. Their big moment? The 1984 film The Cotton Club, where they channeled the legendary Nicholas brothers with some serious tap moves. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. A rift formed between them, and for over a decade, they went their separate ways. Gregory was busy making a name for himself and even snagged a Tony Award for Jelly's Last Jam, while Morris kept grinding in the dance world. Everything changed when their mom, Alma, passed away. That shared loss hit hard and made them reflect on their family ties. Thankfully, they found a way to mend fences and reconnect, realizing how much they appreciated each other's contributions to the arts. It's a heartwarming story of reconciliation that reminds us how family can pull you back together even after tough times. Gregory was living his best life with an epic career. This dude was a tap dance genius, mixing up steps, sounds, and rhythms like a drummer going wild in a solo. He had this laid-back look, rocking loose pants and a fitted shirt while freestyling his way through routines, matching whatever beat was happening around him. While he totally respected the classic roots of black rhythmic tap, he wasn't shy about breaking the mold. Tap historian Sally Summer even said he would obliterate the tempos, dropping his taps like pebbles skipping across a pond. This bold style connected with the freshest jazz sounds and postmodern dance moves. Gregory was all about keeping it innovative and fun.
Now, the tap dancers think of this as like the Renaissance period. It's happening. It's still a real struggle for tap dancers to make a living tap dancing, but it is happening now.
Gregory was all about putting tap dance on the map in the U.S. He was the mastermind behind National Tap Dance Day, which now goes down in 40 cities here and even 8 other countries. Talk about spreading the love. He was also linked up with cool groups like Manhattan Tap, the Jazz Tap Ensemble, and the American Tap Dance Foundation. Plus, he created and hosted a PBS special called Gregory Hines Tap Dance in America, where he highlighted some seriously talented dancers like Savion Glover and Bunny Briggs. This dude was a total game changer for tap.
The movie Tap
brought many of the true artists together. Sandman Sims and Bunny Briggs and Harold Nicholas was in it. And it was Sammy Davis's last picture, wasn't it?
Right.
Gregory had this super touching moment with his idol, Sammy Davis Jr., when he visited him during his battle with throat cancer. After Sammy passed away, Gregory got real emotional at his funeral, sharing how Sammy basically handed him the torch, like passing a basketball, and he felt so honored to keep that legacy alive.
Right. Well, that film, for me, that was a real dream come true for me, because I had idolized Sammy Davis from the moment I saw him. I think I was about 9 years old when I saw him.
But he didn't just stop there. He also mentored a bunch of talented tap dancers like Savion Glover and Diane Walker. In a 1988 interview, he said that everything he did was inspired by his dance, whether it was singing, acting, or even being a parent. Now that's what you call a true artist. Gregory also hit the Broadway scene with his brother in The Girl in Pink Tights back in '54, and he didn't just stop there. He scored Tony nominations for Eubie, Comin' Uptown, and Sophisticated Ladies. But the real highlight was winning a Tony Award and a Drama Desk Award for Jelly's Last Jam. He also snagged a Theatre World Award for Eubie. Talk about making a splash on stage. He also rocked out as the lead singer of a band called Severance in Venice, LA, around 75 to 76. They were a house band at a spot called the 4-H Club, and even dropped a self-titled debut album on Largo Records in '76. Then, in '86, Gregory teamed up with Luther Vandross for the duet There's Nothing Better Than Love, which shot up to number 1 on the Billboard R&B charts. Feeling the hype, he released a solo album in '88, backed by Vandross, featuring the hit That Girl Wants to Dance With Me, which hit number 6 on the R&B charts. And then Hewitt and Did film too. This guy was going to take over every aspect of entertainment.
There's nothing better than love.
Gregory first hit the big screen in 1981, stepping in for Richard Pryor in Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1, after Pryor had to drop out. It was actually Madeline Kahn who suggested him for the role. A pretty solid call.
Born to do it.
Richard Pryor and Mel Brooks were a dream team in comedy, and their work left a major mark on the genre. They first teamed up on Blazing Saddles, which Pryor helped write alongside Brooks. The plan was for Pryor to play Sheriff Bart, but the studio wasn't on board due to Pryor's rep for partying a bit too hard. So Cleavon Little stepped in, but Pryor's fingerprints are all over the script. Pryor's fearless humor and razor-sharp takes meshed perfectly with Brooks' boundary-pushing style, and together they went all in on using humor to tackle social issues. Even though Pryor wasn't in front of the camera, his work on Blazing Saddles helped redefine how comedy could approach topics like race and satire. And true to form, History of the World, Part 1 is Mel Brooks' hilarious take on, well, history itself. The movie is packed with zany skits that roast everything from the Old Testament to the French Revolution, all with Brooks himself taking on roles like Moses, Comicus, the stand-up philosopher, and King Louis XVI.
And that's the Ethiopian Shim-Sham.
Originally, Brooks wanted Richard Pryor to play a key role, but Pryor's health at the time kept him out of the lineup. Gregory also dipped into horror that same year with Wolfen. This man was determined to do it all. By the mid-'80s, Gregory was all over Hollywood. In The Cotton Club, he starred alongside his brother Maurice, where they tapped it out as a duo inspired by the famous Nicholas brothers. Then came some legendary pair-ups, dancing with Mikhail Baryshnikov in White Nights and buddying up with Billy Crystal in the action comedy Running Scared. Fast forward to Tap, and he's side by side with Sammy Davis Jr. in Davis's last movie role.
The movie Tap brought many of the true artists together. Sandman Sims and Bunny Briggs and Harold Nicholas was in it. And it was Sammy Davis's last picture, wasn't it?
Right.
The 90s kept him on a roll, joining Whitney Houston in Waiting to Exhale and The Preacher's Wife with both Whitney and Denzel Washington. Gregory even had his own sitcom, The Gregory Hines Show, on CBS, and played Ben Doucette in Will and Grace. He didn't stop there. He voiced Big Bill on Little Bill, earning a Daytime Emmy in 2003 for his role. Gregory kept pushing for roles with depth, even saying he'd go for parts written for white actors to get more dynamic characters, like his bold role in Running Scared that allowed him to play out scenes rarely offered to black actors at the time. In his final years, Gregory Hines found a true partner in Negrita Jadi, a powerhouse from Canada who was all about fitness. She was a bodybuilder, personal trainer, author, and actress. Their connection was instant and intense. They got engaged and built a strong, supportive relationship. Negrita stood by Gregory as he faced liver cancer, and they made their home in Toronto, where she lived. When Gregory passed in 2003, it hit Negrita hard. She kept his memory alive until her own battle with cancer ended in 2009. Today, she rests right beside him at St. Vladimir Ukrainian Cemetery in Oakville, Ontario. Gregory left us on August 9, 2003, at just 57. After quietly battling liver cancer for over a year, he shared the news with only a tight circle of friends, keeping most of the world in the dark. So, when he passed, it hit hard and fast. On his way to the hospital from his home in LA, Gregory's incredible journey came to an end. His passing was a huge loss for entertainment, where he was a standout not only in dance but also in movies and TV. At the time, he was lending his voice to Little Bill, a kids' show by Bill Cosby, where he played Big Bill, and it was a major part of the show's success. Gregory's legacy? It's still everywhere. He didn't just tap, he broke the mold, mixing classic moves with his own modern twists, leaving a lasting impact that keeps inspiring new performers.